Well, quite a very interesting day, yeah? And it did not go according to the way most people expected. Probably the biggest disappointment for most was Baba's big announcement. Yeah? I think people expected, the expectations were very high. People expected some very, very big announcement that would shake the entire country. Okay? And instead, the announcement that came has left a lot of Kenyans extremely confused. Okay? What is a resistance movement? Yeah? What is it supposed to do apart from boycotting goods? And even that boycotting goods, will it really work? Yeah, those are the questions on Kenyans' minds. Okay? Now, in this recording, we're going to try and break it down, okay, so that we know exactly what is happening. Let us start with the state house statement from the president. Now, I need to remind you of something, okay? When a politician makes a statement, he has not just woken up and he's been told, okay, it's time to make a statement, Mr. President. Then they rush out and they start talking. Nothing like that. What was the objective of the Jubilee government today? Well, it's rather obvious. The objective of the Jubilee government today was a big voter turnout, as big as possible, tomorrow, 26th of October. Yeah. Election at all costs. Okay. Now, if you doubt that, let us just look back and see what kind of price the Jubilee government has paid to be able to have this election go ahead. Okay. There was a court case that was supposed to be heard this morning by the Supreme Court, and many people felt that the evidence had enough weight, yeah, the petition had enough weight to actually stop the elections. So what happens? Well, you know the story. No judges. Now, if you think that was an accident, you should have your head examined. If you think that was a coincidence, you should really, really have your head examined. And I'm serious. Yeah? And if you're still not sure, refer to my earlier recordings where I speak about the car, the vehicle, official vehicle of Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu being sprayed with bullets. Yes. And the death. Actually, this is very sad. Yeah? The poor driver, yeah, bodyguard of Philomena Mwilu succumbed to his injuries, yeah, from the gunfire, and he passed on. He's dead. Okay. What about the High Court ruling by Justice Odinga, yeah, where he said that the returning officers were appointed illegally? Okay. Doesn't that mean that definitely this is an election which is going to be nullified? Yes, it does. Okay. But get this, the most important thing right now is to have those elections. Okay? Hizo mambo zengine will sort out later. Yeah, like if there's going to be a petition, it will be sorted out later. If they're going to be people to contest this election, that will be sorted out later. And by the way, judging from what happened today with the Supreme Court judges, maybe the question I need to ask, and I don't know the answer to the question, will there be Supreme Court judges to listen to a petition against this election, this second election of President Uhuru? Sorry to laugh, yeah? But, well, it has happened. There was a petition supposed to be heard this morning. It didn't happen. And we saw how effectively that petition was shut down, yeah, by events outside the courtroom, okay? So anything can happen, yeah? Anyway. So the president makes his speech, yeah? Important thing here is that he must look as presidential as possible. He must give confidence to the voters to come out and vote in large numbers. And I believe that speech achieved that, yeah? We'll give you full protection. We'll show you have full protection. Business owners, you have full protection of the government. Blah, 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 blah. That was the whole objective, yeah? So those who wondered, this warlike approach of Jubilee suddenly has just calmed down. Kama moto imemwagiwa maji, yeah, suddenly, yeah, it's very calm, very collected, very presidential. Okay, that was the whole objective. Okay, now let us come to where the real kitendawili is. Yeah, Raila Odinga's statement about resistance movement. The NASA leader announced that NASA will now be transformed from a political party to a resistance movement. Okay? And he mentioned the forms of resistance, or rather methods of resistance that are going to be used, but clearly did not mention all of them, yeah? But what he mentioned was a boycott of goods and services, yeah, and newspapers and TV stations, etc., etc. Okay, before we go any further, one thing which should be very clear to Kenyans, yeah, should be very clear to all of us, is that the NASA team, yeah, has a think tank and strategy team like no other which has been seen on these shores since the beginning of the country called Kenya. Those guys are sharp. Those guys are bright. I mean, the way they've managed to outwit, because remember, NASA is the opposition, yeah? They don't have the army behind them, they don't have any advantages as such, but they've managed to outwit the mighty Jubilee government with all the government resources behind them, yeah, up to this point where we are, okay? And that has not happened by accident. Very, very clever chaps, I can assure you, yeah? So definitely, you can be sure of one thing, there's a strategy here. Now, let me take you to the time when NASA was saying they'll not go to court, okay? Now, at that time, I had very credible inside information that NASA had various strategies on the table to implement, okay? Number one, they were very unsure, yeah, or rather they did not have much confidence in the Supreme Court annulling the elections, okay? So they had another plan on the side, yeah, going forward after that. So in the same way, although these elections that are happening tomorrow are riddled, if I can just use an expression, these elections are so riddled with bullets, yeah, that there's no way that they'll fail to be annulled. In other words, the elections have so many leakages, legally speaking, yeah, so many grounds that it will be a miracle if they are not annulled, yeah, made null and void, okay? But however, the NASA team is not putting all their eggs in that basket, okay? Hence the formation of the resistance movement. The whole idea behind the NASA strategy will be to make Kenya ungovernable, okay, through constitutional means, okay? That means they will make sure that the Jubilee government does not function, okay? So the interpretation of this for you and me is that starting today, starting now, Kenya is a very different country from the Kenya you used to know, okay? So going forward, it's not business as usual. That you can be sure about. Is the resistance going to be armed? Now, most resistance movements in the past in the world are armed movements, yeah? They must have an armed wing, yeah? However, there are few that have not been armed, yeah? And one very classic example is Mahatma Gandhi in India, yeah? He used completely peaceful means to bring down the mighty British Empire, and it worked, okay? And remember, when it comes to resistance movements, this is not instant coffee. You do something today and tomorrow something happens. No, no, no. This is a very long-term thing. This is a marathon, okay? So the whole idea is to wear down the government, bring them to a negotiating table, yeah, and get your way, get what you want done. Now, what NASA have said is that the whole objective is to have credible presidential elections in 90 days, okay? That is the whole objective. Now, 90 days is a short time, and I know that contradicts what I've said, but that's what NASA have said, and I've told you what resistance movements are all about, yeah? They're normally long-term, okay? So I don't know what is going to happen here. We'll have to see what happens going forward, what will develop, yeah? But one other thing you must know is that Raila Odinga did not spill all the beans, yeah? Indeed, there are people saying that he did not really make the announcement he was supposed to make. Now, let me give you an example, yeah? And this is totally hypothetical example, so don't get all excited, yeah? Maybe an objective is secession, yeah, to have a different country, okay? So when you go down to make the announcement, you don't say we're going to secede, yeah? You say NASA has changed into a resistance movement, yeah? You get my drift? So you have not announced the whole thing, you have just announced a step towards what your objective is. So in other words, we were not told the whole story. Yeah, that should be. I agree with those who say that Raila Odinga did not really make his major statement. Okay, and all this is part of strategy. And I know it gets very confusing for people who are used to having things in black and white, people who do not like to think a bit. Yeah, but that is really what it's all about. Okay, now as I finish this recording, there's something very important I need to say. Do not be fooled for a moment to think that all is well in Kenya now. Don't. Okay, because as I've told you, the statement which was made from State House today had an objective, and the objective is to get as many people as possible to vote, yeah, so as to make these elections as legitimate as they can possibly make them, okay, even with over half the country not involved. Now let me paint a picture for you that will make it very clear, okay. Now you've heard the way rats, or these house rats, yeah, nibble at people's feet, yeah, you're sleeping, yeah, this mouse comes, and when you wake up in the morning, you find sections of your feet, the soles, yeah, some skin is missing. And you wonder why you didn't feel it when you are sleeping, yeah. So what happens is the clever rat nibbles on a bit of skin, then it blows on the skin so that you're not feeling any pain, it nibbles again, blows on the skin, and so on and so forth, yeah. So this is exactly the strategy from Jubilee. Because from one end, we have very nice speeches, very nice statements, very reconciliatory statements made, yes. But in the background, we know what is happening. For instance, in Kisumu, the police are still shooting at protesters, okay. Today, we have had confirmed reports that some people have landed in hospital with bullet wounds, yeah, and they're being treated. Now, it should be rather obvious that when you're in a situation where people are coming into hospital with bullet wounds, then it should be very obvious that there are others with bullet wounds who did not make it to the hospital, yeah, and instead ended up dead. Yeah, that should be common sense, yeah. So the long and short of it is that police are still using live bullets on demonstrators, yeah, and that is a fact, okay. So don't be fooled. We are nowhere near out of the woods. So I'd urge you, be careful wherever you are. I would urge you to follow the instructions given by the NASA leader, those NASA supporters, yeah, to the letter. Stay away from polling stations, stay at home, yeah. Those instructions were given with good reason, because from what I hear, what had been planned, yeah, there's no need of leading your followers or your supporters to slaughter, okay. So stay completely away from polling stations. If you're not involved in voting, stay away completely. Stay in your house, okay. Now hopefully the police will not burst into people's houses and start beating them up like they've done before, but let's wait and see what happens, okay. Until next time, this is Kshs Kumekucha.